he's constantly taking himself out of the equation and giving students the opportunity. For instance, when 2 of the kids are coming to Geneva, he would naturally be the person who should come, but he wanted the kids to go. And so he's having some of the younger ones. This is me in the middle, and then these are 3 of our U of M Flint graduate students in the global program. Amy is an art teacher, and she lives actually here in the Flint area, and she teaches in the Lapeer area. Scott is up in the Traverse City area, and then Rhonda is further south. She's a high school teacher, and then these are 2 of the other people we work with. We're standing on a platform in a sort of thatched hut that's out in one of the lagoons, and we had a paddle to get out here. The reason you see us wearing the attire that we are. And there are crocodiles in this lagoon. I only saw one that day. It was a smaller one.
Well, it's good you're on the platform.
Yeah, and you know, well, you know what? My second trip back to the lagoons, we saw the kids. Actually, I think Valeria named him. We saw El Gordo. That means large. He's like a 9 or 12 foot crocodile, and he's big, and he's old, and he's wide and fat, and I hadn't seen any that size the first trip, and I've been wading through the water, and Jesus had been carrying a paddle, and so all the pieces started to connect after that trip. But this is probably the primary group of kids who I always seem to work with when I'm down there, or we work with online, because unfortunately we can't be there as often as we want to. We had just gotten out of the water. You'll see back here there's like a staircase area where the kids go down. These are some of the notebooks that we gave them. But anyway, so I would say this is sort of our core group of researchers, and they are just amazing. You'll see some of the sort of familiar names. Valeria is the girl that you saw up in the water with her snorkel on. Kevin is the one you saw talking to the kids. PK was helping with the sea turtle nesting grounds. He is now, I want to say 16, PK maybe 17, and he has been doing this since he was really, really young. And so he has taught the younger kids how to do all the monitoring and input in things into the computer systems. And then this is Yaslin, who you'll see in just a little bit. So, ongoing projects. The sea turtles are probably one of the ones that get the most verbiage, marketing. I mean, they're cute and neat, and they crawl out of holes and things. The beach cleanup recycling project really captured my students. It was an eye-opening experience for them, and I can honestly say they went home very, very changed by that. They were amazed by the amount of trash and debris that they picked up. They were very, very cognizant of their own place in the world after this trip. When I said that we recycled the matter that we picked up off of the beaches, we had plastics, we had glasses, we had miscellaneous, we had different categories. I have to say that if you're ever considering whether to buy plastic water bottles or to go, buy a metal bottle or carry it around, if you go to the beach, even on a non-beach cleanup day, right here, because the waves are so incredible and everything churns up from the bottom of the ocean, you may rethink plastic water bottles because they are everywhere. They're just everywhere. And then you see things like fish netting, like off of fishing boats, for bait netting. We found a buoy out there on that last trip. And I asked them kind of what are some of the interesting things they found over time. And one of the heads of the FPMC, they found a message in a bottle, which I thought was kind of neat. But on the serious side of things, we found hypodermic needles, which is not uncommon. You found tons of like plastic toys, and kind of not to start a different conversation, but the made in China like figurines or rets, or just tons, literally tons. I'm not exaggerating, and they don't compost down very well. I have no idea how long they've been in the water, but you knew what they were when you found them. So that was interesting. Okay, so going on, you saw a lot of pictures of sort of the reef fish, that's what they call Reef Fish Monitoring Project over in the Championnat Park. And when we were having technical difficulties, I started started talking about the 4 park areas. Punta Sur, the southern portion of the island, is one of the parks. Canab is another one, and that is on sort of the central western side where the waters are calmer, and that's where the kids do their reef project. So they're not out there battling the waves, they're in much calmer waters. Then San Gervasio, which I'll talk about in a minute, it's down here. San Gervasio are Mayan ruins that are on the island, and there's also, the kids go out to try to monitor some various bird species. One in particular that, the name's not coming to me right now, but was last sighted before the hurricane, and they haven't been able to find it yet again. And the 4th area is really interesting. It's called Island Museum. It's in the heart of San Miguel, which is the main town on the whole island of Cozumel. The museum is right across from the water, and they're just fantastic. In fact, I first started working with the FPMC because of the contact that I have at the Island Museum. And they do educational camps for kids in the summertime, and they're just wonderful. The museum has a sort of a history of the island, but then it has some amazing artwork also. We already mentioned Punta Sur. So going back to Punta Sur, from like an ecological perspective or marine biology perspective, right here you have the ocean. So right up here, very, very deep, very rugged, wild. Then you have the lagoons in here where you have the saltwater crocodiles. And there's 3 different lagoons way down here where you can barely see. There's a small opening out into the ocean where the water flows in and out. But we would take, let's see if I can kind of orientate you, from about where I'm standing, and you probably saw it on the posters out in the hallway, there was a large 3-story, it's not really a story, it's more like an observation tower. This is where this picture is taken from. From the observation tower, we get into sea kayaks and we cut across the lagoon with the kids. And we carry out small mangrove plants. And to back up a minute, the kids actually physically go out, and I went with them to the northern side of the island. Because of sort of the currents and the weather, there's mangroves up there, and you'll find seed pods on the ground. And so we literally would collect all these seed pods, and you want the ones with the most established root systems. So we just collected hundreds and hundreds of these, and then we took them back to the FPMC building where you saw the mural, and they have like an outdoor greenhouse, because obviously it's tropical and you don't have to have it inside. And what we did with the kids is we planted the mangroves into recycled bags once again, with kind of a mixture of dirt and sandy soil and sort of seaweed, and packed them down. Then you watered those, or you left them out to be watered naturally too. And then what we did is we took another batch of the mangroves and we carried them onto the trucks, and we drove all the way to the southern point of the island, probably half-hour drive. Mind you, we're going slow and we have these big vehicles. And then we load the mangrove plants onto the sea kayaks and sort of this little barge boat. And then we paddled across the lagoon, and what we did is we did replanting projects all the way through where the hurricane had devastated these areas. So it's quite intensive, and these kids are just learning amazing things, and so are my students and myself. So this is kind of one of the favorite pictures, I think, is all the baby sea turtles. Most of the sea turtles, I would argue, come out. No, I should get the actual statistic from Jesus, but most of the sea turtle work that they do in the nesting grounds is at night. So this is kind of a rare picture where you see it in full sunlight. But taking that, I'm going to take you over, because this is kind of a complex project. Wait. Oh, there's the tower, and El Gordo, the large crocodile, resides right underneath there. And these are some of the, well, the other ones opening up. We were there, I mean, talk about complete coincidence, for one of the solstices. And let's see if it has the, sorry to go so fast, we were there very, very early in the morning to see the sun coming through one of the Mayan structures. Which happens twice a year. This is one of my students with to park workers. This